The Tony Hawk games had their golden years in the early and mid-2000s, having been developed by Neversoft from the very beginning. Neversoft's last Tony Hawk game was proving ground, and it was apparent that they were very much burnt out at this stage in the franchise. Enter Robomoto, a fresh-faced independent game company based out of Chicago, Illinois. It was founded by former members of Midway and EA Chicago, and Activision took them under their wing to start making Tony Hawk games. The future seemed promising and all fine and well, until Ride hit the shelves in 2009. Yeah, the one with the skateboard controller. Everyone collectively agreed that the game was a poo-poo shit turd, and it was widely panned. Now listen, this is supposed to be the part where I tell you that Activision and Robomoto listened to the feedback of the fans and dropped the gimmicky controller for a more traditional approach. No, actually, in 2010 they doubled down and released Shred. Public opinion then proceeded to tie this game to the back of a Honda Civic and ride it around for several hours until it was nothing but a pile of burnt, scorched hopes and dreams. That didn't actually happen, but the game only sold 3,000 copies in a week, so it might as well have happened. Might as well have happened. So now that Activision and Robomoto had two massive stinkers under their belt because they were smoking that South Carolina backwoods tree bark and thought that doing a sequel to a poorly received game with an unorthodox controller was a good idea, it was time for them to go back to the drawing board. Then, at the 2011 Spike Video Game Awards show on Saturday, December 10th, 2011, we were presented with a first look of the upcoming Tony Hawk's Pro Skater HD. In 2012, it was digitally released for Xbox 360 on July 18th, PlayStation 3 on August 28th, and Steam on September 17th. Why the releases were staggered like that, I don't exactly know, but they were all released to just mediocre reviews. Just 5 years later, on July 17th, 2017, the game was delisted from all digital marketplaces. That is, except for the PC version, which you can still to this day get through Amazon, if you're in the US, that is. At $10 a pop USD, it'll give you a Steam key that you can enter. I don't know if there's a shelf life to these, but it's how I obtained the game back in 2019. Today we're going to look back on this game and see what just went wrong. Starting up the game, we'll take a look first at the roster of skaters we have to start with. Tony Hawk, Rodney Mullen, Lindsay Adams Hawkins Pastrana, Eric Costin, Andrew Reynolds, Nigel Huston, Chris Cole, Riley Hawk, Jake Harrison, and Emily Westland. On the Xbox 360 version only, you could have your gamer avatar as a custom skater. The levels included in the base game are Warehouse, School 2, Hangar, Mall, Venice, Downhill Jam, and Marseille. Now, I was able to snag the Thips 3 HD Revert DLC before it went out of stock on Amazon, and gray market vultures eventually snagged whatever remaining keys there are and jacked the price up. The DLC gives you 3 maps from the third Pro Skater, which are Canada, Airport, and Los Angeles. The DLC also gives you 4 new skaters, Steve Caballero, Jeff Rowley, and 2 members of Metallica, Robert Trujillo and James Hetfield. Consider my mind blown. Metallica's song All Nightmare Long also comes with the DLC, so that's neat. Now, a few more things to touch on before I begin playing. A couple things I needed when I started the game for the first time was I needed to turn on VSync, bump up the anisotropic filtering, and just plain old 1080p resolution. It only went up to 1176 by 664. But the problem therein is the fact that there's no UI for tweaking graphic settings outside your resolution. Right off the bat, how do you mess up this hard? Why wasn't there ever a graphics settings UI implemented? That's genuinely just pathetic. Since the game was built on Unreal Engine 3, you can do a lot of manual modification to the visuals, so I had to dig through the internal files and go into baseengine.ini and tweak the settings myself. That was until I realized that there is a community mod that fixes this and gives you a launcher to tweak the settings to your spec. But do you know what else the community mod can enable? Something that was found in the game code before the DLC came out? The DLC allowed you the ability to revert, which wasn't enabled in the base game. Note I say enabled. Yes, revert was in the game's code all along. What the fuck? Very apparent this is just a console port. This was also probably the catalyst behind what forced the hand of Robomoto to release a free patch that enabled the revert trick just a couple weeks before the DLC dropped. From the very beginning, it was their intention to paywall revert, and it backfired. So that just buttered my biscuit. Alright, let's actually dive into the game now. I can safely say the graphics didn't age the greatest. For the time in 2012, they were fine, they were great. But in this day and age, they were definitely the 7th gen graphics of all time. The level graphics are really hit or miss as well. Warehouse, Mall, and Venice Beach are all differing combinations of piss yellow and shit brown. Hangar and airport look fine, pretty one-to-one with the original moods of the levels. Marseille admittedly has a nice pink tone to it, which is pleasing to see, and I really enjoy this take on Downhill Jam. The lighting is pretty awesome here. Now, in terms of controls and physics, do me one favor. Go play Pro Skater 3 or Underground or something from that golden era when they really fine-tweaked how the game feels, how the physics are, and everything. Start a fresh game. Don't max out your skater stats. Start a level and get a good feel of everything. How fast you go, how you turn, your ollie, the hang time in air you get from your ollie, how you lock onto a rail when you tap the grind button, how fast you go across the rail. Take note of as much as you can. Now start up this game. It just feels flimsy and floaty, almost like you're skating with wings on after taking that top shelf Zaza. When I first played this game, I hadn't played a THPS game in a while, so I didn't take much note of how slow it was, but playing THPS 3 and then this game back to back, hell, even the first Pro Skater next to this one, the movement just feels clumsy. In the old games, everything was snappy and responsive. Pro Skater HD just controls like the game's near death, which technically it was near death. To pad out the game a little more, there are a few extra objectives, mostly just extra collectibles for you to get throughout each level. When you increase and eventually max out your speed, ollie, air, and hang time stats, good luck when you go up a half pipe. The game is so floaty that if you're not approaching a half pipe directly straight ahead, 9 times out of 10 it sends you flying in one direction completely off the half pipe and then you go splat on the ground. This in particular makes things like the VB transfer on the far end of Venice Beach a lot harder than it has to be. But in the same breath, it does make the VB huge transfer a lot easier. Another thing is, in Pro Skater 1 and 2, if you hit a wall hard enough head-on while tapping the grind button, you slam and fall. Robomoto, being the tryhards they were and trying to emulate the first 2 games, yet at the same time bring them into the modern day, had the same mechanic. But it's really, really sensitive. When you slam, or in this case, lightly bump a wall, you are sent packing, careening across the map, complete with ragdoll physics. It's funny the first few times, and then it gets annoying really quickly. To the point where I'd rather have jumper cables clamped to my breasts and get my nipples shocked for an hour straight. That's no joke. When I fall off my board in the Neversoft games, I mostly know why. But in Pro Skater HD, I might as well roll dice to find out why. Now this grinds my gears. The respawning sucks harder than your mom on OnlyFans. Let's say in Downhill Jam I fall into a pit. Where does the game respawn me? At the razor fucking edge of where I fell from. I have to remember to not move and pivot myself away from the edge to safety. Why? Who beta tested this? Did this even get beta tested? Did the people working at Robomoto even play the games they worked on? Think I'm done? Look at this. I slam and fall off my board at the mall, then the game respawns me outside of the map. Unreal. I'm so glad I got this capture because I'm confident that I couldn't replicate this if I tried. It's just one of those things you stumble upon while trying to do a legit run. Now, let's touch on wall rides for a second. Wall rides in the original games just worked. You come up to a wall at an angle, ollie and hit the grind button. You snap to a wall and ride it. This was a crucial mechanic for something like smashing the school bells in School 2 in the second game. In Tony Hawk's Pro Skater HD, wall rides only work when they want to. It's RNG, it's a total gamble when it'll work and you'll miss your mark a lot. Now onto other game modes. First up we have Single Session, then you have Free Skate. These are nothing new to the franchise. Next up we have Hawkman, in which these orbs are scattered around the level and you go around collecting them. The orbs are color-coded to what trick you need to bust to collect them. Red is air trick, yellow is grind, and green is manual. It's you know, they try to throw in something fresh. Next game mode we have is Big Head Survival. Basically, your head grows continuously and you have to do tricks to keep your head size percentage down. The higher the score your trick combo is, the more percentage is taken off your head size percentage. The rate at which your head grows increases as the match goes on. If your head size reaches 100%, it explodes. Lastly, we have Projectives. Each match of Projectives is 1 minute. Every level has the same 5 Projectives. These are so-so, and I do prefer them to the objectives of Pro Skater 5. So, what do I think about this game? Robomoto, or excuse me, the ghost of Robomoto. If the elements of this game are regressive in nature just to pay homage to the first 2 games, this is a sad, sorry excuse. While it is playable, would I play it over literally any other Tony Hawk game? Okay, Pro Skater 5 exists, so at least it has that going for it. This could have been great. It has potential and I can see it when I play it. I should know since I beat it twice back to back. But either because Robomoto didn't know just how to make a Tony Hawk game, or Activision as always put them in crunch time to get this made and sent out the door, or some combination of the two, this doesn't amount to an arcade-style skateboard game experience that the Tony Hawk games are meant for and built to be. The foundation is there, but they missed the mark so much with this. And honestly, at this point, with Pro Skater 1+2 existing, Pro Skater HD is barely even a footnote in Pro Skater history. The one thing I will give it is that at least you can play it on the Steam Deck without an active internet connection versus Pro Skater 1+2, where you need to have an online connection to play because Denuvo and Epic Games suck so bad they could vacuum the chrome off an 18-wheeler. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I will give Tony Hawk's Pro Skater HD a solid, at least it's not Pro Skater 5. And with that being said and out of the way, thank you so much for watching. I know, when you guys clicked on this, you were thinking, oh, comment Jake L, we're posting an old video. It's more in-depth than my original 2019 video where I just play around the warehouse map for 7 minutes and call it a day with live commentary or whatever. That was a half-ass approach. I wanted to do it. I wanted the full ass, you know what I mean? Got some cool things coming down the pipeline. I hope I can get my capture card set up again so I can play something like a Proving Ground on stream, which I haven't played really much before, so it'll be mostly a blind playthrough. I got together the rest of the Pixar bootleg ROMs, so I'll be playing a marathon of unlicensed Pixar games on livestream tonight on this very channel. So be sure to keep your eyes peeled for that later, and I hope you guys will come by and enjoy that. It'll be I dub it the Pixar Bootleg Bonanza. That's very cheesy, but I'm running with it because I suck at names. And the footage from the stream will be used in the video that I do on the Pixar Bootleg games. So that's out of the way. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a good day or good night or whatever time you're watching this, and I will see you next time. Take it easy.